The Trevor Jackson Podcast.
Mic check. 1 2 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 2 1 2. What's good with y'all today on this beautiful Monday? You know, I have no clue who this guy is. Steven Crowder. I was trying to do a little research before I got on the microphone, but as of recently, I've been very interested in debates. You know, in America, we're called the United States of America, but it seems that we're the divided states of America. We find any type of way to not agree with each other, to be divided from each other, racial tension, tension within the race, within the sex. It's just out of control, man. And this black fatigue topic, it's annoying because I know where the original terminology came from. I even brought the book. You know, this book came out around 2020, around the COVID era. Black Fatigue: How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit by Mary Frances Winters. I recently just emailed her like 2 or 3 weeks ago to see if she's willing to have a conversation with me because I've read her book, I've highlighted her book a multitude of times, and you know, the viral conversation about black fatigue has been altered. It has been changed, and it's not what she originally meant for it to be. And I haven't seen her speak much. And we located in the same city. You know, reach out to me, Murray. Like, respond back to the email. I would greatly and gladly, I think the world will want to hear your perspective also, because you coined the name Black Fatigue. Now, this guy, he's a Canadian, originally from Canada, speaking on American issues. He's been here. He's a married man. Let me look at his Wikipedia for a little while. So he's a conservative. First of all, you know what's interesting about these debates and stuff. I don't see no Democrats, you know, having debates or going to colleges speaking and trying to sway people to become a Democrat. It's like they just at a point where they ain't even concerned. They ain't trying to win over the public. They ain't trying to have conversations with individuals. It's just, I don't know what's going on with the Democratic Party. But, you know, he's a person whose YouTube channel has been demonetized a couple of times for conversations he's had. He hosts a podcast, a daily political podcast called Louder with Crowder, Americans for Prosperity. He demonstrated in Michigan concerning the state's recent passed right to work law. You know, he has used homophobic slurs and racist slurs before. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, hmm. He was in October the 2022. He violated harassment, threatening, and cyberbully laws. Okay. Okay. So interesting. Let's get into the video. I want to see what this guy's talking about. I want to react to what he's talking about. Why is this so viral? Why is so many people concerned? Let's go.
And that's Stevie right there, the blue shirt.
Blue shirt. Oh,
Yes,
Steven.
sir.
I met Cedric. I think I scared him. I think he was.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
Doing all right?
Yeah, man. How you doing? Good to see you. I need it. You guys all have your beards nice and right. I've never learned how to do this shit.
It's because people come here.
Oh, I see what it is. It's a power move. You have me sitting lower.
Yeah, so we can all look down on you.
No, thanks. Well, they said you guys got some people coming in here after the last one.
Yeah, a couple people came
They just
through.
felt like, I think this is the place where white and black people have conversations.
So it was funny. The first person that came last time was he said this out of his own mouth. He was like, "I'm Indian," but he had on a MAGA hat.
Okay.
And he walked in and was like, hey, I saw you guys on Crowder. Can I get a cut here? Yeah, I guess so, man. Come on.
Did you have your hand on your piece? You're like, I don't know if you can.
Nah, because he didn't come like that. He didn't have the backpack and the ski mask on. Yeah, he didn't have that on.
Was he nice? Was he good?
It's cool.
Yeah. Cool. What do you guys think, like, when you see someone with a MAGA hat? Because I know we were kind of talking about that last time.
It depends on how they present themselves. To me.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, okay. So, like, what would present themselves in a way that would be like decent versus piece of shit?
Yeah. Some people carry that air of superiority.
Yeah.
And if you present that to me, I'm very conscious of that. If you present that to me, I'm gonna respond appropriately.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
What would be like an air of superiority, like?
Just like certain things you say in conversation, and like you said, just in the physical nature of these chairs. Well, in conversation, you can physically go up and down and put yourself above or beneath. So when people do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually, when I do the change my minds and sit with people, I actually kind of slump my shoulders and deliberately kind of make myself smaller, just to not. It's like, what is it? The crab that has the red under its claws is showing danger. So I don't wear red, because apparently that signifies poison. But yeah, no, there's all these body language experts now. You watching TV, and I'm like, this seems like horse shit. Like, he looks to the left, so you can tell he's lying.
Yeah, some of it is horse.
It's like, I saw him on camera. He killed his girlfriend with a butter dish. I don't give a shit what he says.
He took too long to say that answer. He had to think about it. No, he's thinking about what he wants to say.
Yeah.
He don't just spit out. He wants to think about what he's saying.
Last time we talked, we were kind of just, and the reason was just like, often you see in news, people just kind of siphon themselves off right into an echo chamber. And I thought it was good. We were just kind of able to see other perspectives. Where do you think the country is now? Like, with that? Like,
is that an open question? Or?
Yeah, race relations between, because last time I wanted to get your perspective, and there's a perspective now in the white community. None of us are an ambassador for the entire community, but things have changed quite a bit the last year and a half. Temperatures have gone up. But what do you guys think? What do you think we are in the country?
I'd like to chime in on that.
Yeah.
I'm happy you asked that question. There are a lot of social and economic dynamics at play that have certainly gone, in my opinion, in the wrong direction. I don't think that people really understand the gravity of where we're headed. We are vastly sliding into an autocratic regime here. And absolutely, I'll give you several reasons. You see, in order to have, you can't have a one-dimensional approach when you're wanting to continue to lead from a global perspective, all right? What you see here today is an isolationism approach which has never worked in the past because we don't have an understanding of geography and history, all right? And I'll just simply close by saying, you got to understand something. The rest of the world is grossly infuriated with the way America has taken shape. And not only that, we're ceding all our best opportunities to China, right? Look around you in the relationships they're fostering with everybody else, which includes Canada, Mexico, and they've even gone as far down into the Latin American corridor, fortifying their bases while we're still hollering that we're the greatest.
You talking about China, like in the Panama Canal?
Not just the Panama Canal. Let's pivot from the Panama Canal and let's look at the long-term strategy they have now, where they just signed an agreement with Mexico to build another canal bypassing the Panama Canal. And when you look at the whole transatlantic corridor, where you've got now Brazil and Canada as well as Mexico trading, and they're stopping in Peru, where China has a huge presence at, circumventing completely the navigation, the use that comes with having to use Panama Canal. So we'll avoid conflict with America and just simply go around America is what's happening here.
Talking about China?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, I want to agree with the first part, autocratic. I think China needs to be dealt with, and this is the first time we are. I'm Canadian. Well, I was raised in Canada. Canada sucks. Canada is a dog shit country. Canada, the kind of shit we're doing, you can't do this in Canada. If you say something too offensive or I say something too offensive, you will be jailed in Canada.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. So I'm fine with the U.S. being the best country. I came here from Canada because, I had friends who were arrested. I had a friend, stand-up comic, was fined for telling a joke. I don't think people realize how good we have it here in this country compared to other countries.
But that's the painstaking part about it all, is the fact that, I've always been one to say, and I believe this firmly, freedom is not a right. it's a privilege until you wake up the next morning and find out you don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
I like what he just said. Freedom is not a right, it's a privilege until you wake up and feel like you don't have it anymore. I want to say something though, and when I watch these things, I like the reaction in the comment section because I'm learning in real time and I'm conveying what I'm hearing and what I'm thinking in real time. When he talked about an autocratic regime, and I think he's talking about Trump having supreme power over the people of the United States. It may seem that way because he's making decisions that a lot of people disagree with, and Trump shows you he doesn't care. But I feel like it is a multitude of people that's in play. And I feel like it's oligarchs and people with a lot of finances that is controlling the decisions. And it's not just a single individual. Now, when he talked about China going through the Panama Canal to avoid conflict with America so they can trade and do their goods and all of that type of stuff, I've been hearing about that a lot. I've been hearing about them having their warships and stuff in Jamaica and a whole bunch of places in the Caribbeans. But what I think that, us as black people don't understand because it's just not our nature to be violent like the majority of us, even though that's not what we've shown, but I'm talking about wartime violent. Uh, I feel like the Caucasians is dealing with white genetic survival and they will take it to levels that, you know, we can't imagine or we won't think about. And China will get obedient if they want to take it to that level. That's just my opinion. And I like being free. What he talked about was interesting. I like being free. And I realized that freedom is within the mind. It's a choice within the mind. It's not something that is given. It's not something that you can attain. Freedom is within the mind. Let them continue to converse.
It also comes with duties.
That's what I was about to say. It also comes with responsibilities because while we free to speak and say what we want, and I went to Montreal a few months ago, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Bet you saw a lot of tits on signs. That's all it is.
No, I
it's,
didn't.
It's just strip clubs. Our Times Square is a giant strip club.
It was a couple of them.
Yeah.
But no, like there is responsibility and like everybody's from different places, different backgrounds. Some of us from certain backgrounds know like running your mouth too much in a certain space can get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
Like you free to say what you want, you're just not free from the consequences. Like the consequences that come with you saying the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that's where we all have responsibilities in what we say and when we say it.
Yeah. The problem, though, too, and I was kind of talking more domestically. The problem with that idea is a lot of people are offended by different things. Mm-hmm. And so people get their ass whooped for something they didn't say, right? That's the real thing. I don't know if you guys were following the stabbing there on that train in Charlotte, Irina Zarutska. Last time I was asking where you guys thought we were, as far as in the country relation. Like, have you guys heard of the term black fatigue? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys know what that means?
Since the last time you came, that's become a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's just become a recent thing.
And do you know what it means?
I'm located in Charlotte, first of all. So I'm interested in what they're going to talk about. Those brothers said that black fatigue has just become a thing. It is an internet sensation that is totally have been altered from what I showed you at the beginning of the show, what it originally meant. What it originally meant is like blacks enduring negative impact from systematic systems, economic systems, workplace systems, educational and social outcomes for black people. She offers strategies for black people to use and protect themselves against the fatigue from being black. The internet has transformed it is that we fatigued with you niggas. We fatigued with black. And I don't like that. Because in our reality, black and white is a social construct that's really not even a thing. It's something that has been adapted and adopted to socially control people and to have people in their feelings and emotions with words. And it's a whole science to this, to me, like sorcery, to use things that you shouldn't even attach yourself to, that doesn't even exist. Black don't even exist, man. White don't exist. It's a social construct. So let's see what they got to say.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask that.
It's a term that's being used by people in the white community, by and large, again, saying they feel like they've been victimized and they're tired of taking that shit. You know, that was a girl who was dying alone in public. And that was a guy who was let out 14 times. 14 times, including violent crimes, in the name of racial justice, right? He didn't have to post bail. He didn't have to appear back in court. This is not the first time he's assaulted someone.
How do we know that was in the interest of racial justice as opposed to just being a
because the judge said it.
A fucked up attempt at justice, period.
Yeah.
Like, the legal system has its flaws.
Yeah.
And people have been making complaints about that for decades, right? But that's just, to me, that's a mental health thing more than it's a black and white thing.
Well, I'll tell you why, because white people are saying it now.
Right.
Not just, white people are saying, hey, we're in
what makes it a bigger thing.
Well, because, you know, white people are 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. I'm just going to shoot you straight. It's not even fucking close.
Where?
Across the country.
Where? Like, not in
the United States. I mean, we're not talking about Ghana.
In like,
yeah.
What I'm saying is, in white communities or in quote unquote so-called white communities,
across the country, the rate is a black man or person, because most murders men. There are very few female murders. 12 times more likely to kill a white person the other way around. And then you look at the average amount of times that someone in this country is arrested before they're brought in for killing, charged with murder. Do you know how many times they're arrested on average before they murder? 11 times.
Once again, the justice system's got its flaws, and people have been complaining about that for years. We spend more time trying to fix that than trying to complain about the white versus black of it all.
Well, I think, just like I was trying to listen to all communities last time, I think this is something that's unavoidable. If this community, if enough white people get pissed off, they're going, look, we're living in New York now, we're getting killed in record numbers, or Detroit.
I'm going to let them continue to converse. I just Googled something, though. This is according to Bureau of Justice Statistics.gov. 86% of white victims are killed by white people. His statistic was wrong. Let's go.
12 times the rate. And our system, 3 strikes in California, right? That was a 3-strike policy. The reason that was changed, they said it was racist. Crime went down in black communities 30%. But now people are looking at their cities going, this is a fucking hellscape. And the murders skyrocketed because people said in the name of racial justice, like, 3 felonies, you're out.
Because crime is crime, right? But crime is usually going to be higher concentrated in areas where there's high poverty. So typically the areas that's high poverty in this country are areas with people with this color skin. So that's why you're going to have that. That's why I said those numbers could be skewed and made to manipulate to look like, oh yeah, that's why I said in
not at 12 times the rate.
In suburban neighborhoods, white people are not in danger. And that's what this kind of fear mongering tells them, is that you're in danger because you're 12 times more likely to get killed by a black person. You live in fucking ain't nobody coming after you. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody tripping on you. But these people are just as scared as the other folks.
They are if they get on a bus.
Not necessarily.
They are if they get on a train.
That lady wasn't in danger because that man was black. That lady was in danger because that man was crazy.
Nope.
That man was mentally insane.
But why was he back on
family members? He had his own family members call the hospital to try to get him committed. He told his sister he killed that woman because he thought she was trying to read his mind.
Yep.
That's
why was he let out, though?
And
I'm not saying it's because he's black.
Yeah,
I'm saying people look at it, though. The judge said
part of black fatigue.
He's insane, right? We agree.
That's not a black and white issue.
He was deemed not fit to stand trial, right?
Right.
Now,
he should have been institutionalized.
Right. The IOU policy, meaning you don't have to pay bail. You don't even have to stay here until you're actually convicted. You just say you'll come back.
Right, which is messed up.
Yeah, the judge, Teresa Stokes, black woman, said, well, this is about racial justice. We need to be softer on crime. So that's her reasoning. That's why he was out. And you can find dozens of examples.
That's her misguided reasoning.
And that's policy.
But that's systemic, though, right?
That's not representative of a whole.
It's not. It's not. No, and look, we always have to say not all. Like, not all white people wear MAGA hats and are dumbass pieces of racist shit. But we have all been accused of racism, sexism, misogyny, homophobia. What I'm saying is black fatigue is white people going, you know what? I know I'm not racist. And I know that we're dealing with record crime, and I know that I'm more at risk. And they have negative interactions, and they're constantly told that they're not allowed to voice their fucking opinion because they're white.
You know, on my channel, I talk a lot about reparations. and paying the debt that's owed. Crime happens, and it seems as if he doesn't want to hear this, and he's not even, he is white, but he's Canadian first. You're not even American, dog. You may have been in America for a while, but you're not even American. The financial structure and capitalism is what's causing a lot of this crime. People don't want to really like focus on that and think about that because they don't care about the financial structure of what people are dealing with. But the guy, he keeps harboring on him being let out 14 times. The jail system is fucked. And if he was locked up, it's not a place for rehabilitation, it's a place for punishment. Nobody is being rehabilitated in jail. You have to choose to want better on your own because in America, nobody cares, nobody is concerned. Everybody is concerned about finances. And it seems like this conversation is getting heated real quick. What I want to say though is that train where that incident happened in the city that I'm located in is in the most prominent area of the city. The most where a lot of people are super financially stable. So it's just interesting to see people speak about that and use that as a point of conversation when they don't know the location that really happened at inside of the city.
And if those people get pissed off, like that's where we actually could end up with some kind of, I'm telling you, I see this brewing. I see people who were milk toast white suburban who are becoming actually racist. Now, not all of them, but I've seen people actually become racist because they get mugged, their store gets looted, and nothing gets done. They're going, and if I say something, it's turned into a race thing. I'm telling you what, that's where it's coming from. At what point do we have a talk and go like, okay, let's reform justice, but we have to be honest as to why it was reformed in the first place. This guy, it's not even the only one. It's every 3 days someone's being offed.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's transfer that over to, there's a lot of unsafe things in this world. Like getting mugged by a black person is not the paramount unsafe thing. There's school shootings, there's road rage, there's all of that shit.
Yep.
And the primary people that commit a lot of those are people who don't have this skin.
No.
So if switch it over, if black people say, well, we getting fed up and we tired of all these school shootings and all of these road rage and all that, who do we say something to? Who hears our voice?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
Well, we've been hearing about white, that's the point, right? We've been hearing about it all our lives, about white fatigue, about systemic discrimination.
But nothing's ever been done. That's the problem.
It has been done.
Here.
That's why we've done systemic justice reform that has led to more crime, right? That's the reason for no three-strike policy. That's the reason for cashless bail. That's the reason for catch and release. The reason for it, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots, Summer of Love, was we're going to reform crime, we're going to reform the justice system, and it's gotten worse everywhere it's been. And then when white people leave those neighborhoods, well, now it's white flight. If they come in, it's gentrification. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are pissed off, and they're not going to sit down and have this conversation and be real about it. And they're going, well, what happens when someone has to keep their mouth shut about everything?
Nobody tell you have to keep
That's
your
how they
mouth
feel.
shut.
You know what? He cooked right there. That little part, he cooked. I ain't even gonna cap to you. I know a lot of people ain't gonna agree with that or might not like what was said, but he cooked right there. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Um, that was interesting because when he spoke about white fatigue, um, the United States and laws was passed that exposed white folks, and he just explained a lot of it. And then when white folks removed themselves from being in the presence of black folks, then they call it white flight, like he just said. You know, I am really aware of the hostility of white people right now, and they are very radical. The youth is, but the people who was the baby boomers, I would say, failed y'all. They failed y'all also. They failed the whole country. They failed the black people, the white people, the people that was in power, the white people. They failed y'all. And now y'all don't have to be hostile against anyone. Focus on yourself. Real talk, it ain't no need. I look at these people that's debating the Cam Higbees, the people, even the black folks, even talking about they got black fatigue. They tired of their own people. I can't really promote that because I just can't say that about a people that looks like me. This is an interesting conversation, but he cooked right there. I want to play a little bit of that back because that was interesting.
That commit a lot of those are people who don't have this skin.
No.
So if switch it over, if black people say, well, we getting fed up and we tired of all these school shootings and all of these road rage and all that, who do we say something to? Who hears our voice?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
Well, we've been hearing
Who
about
hears
white.
us?
That's the point, right? We've been hearing about it all our lives, about white fatigue, about systemic discrimination. I'm
nothing's ever
Canadian,
been
right?
done. That's the problem.
It
It's
has been
still
done.
here.
That's why we've done systemic justice reform that has led to more crime, right? That's the reason for no three-strike policy. That's the reason for cashless bail. That's the reason for catch and release. The reason for it, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots, Summer of Love, was we're going to reform crime, we're going to reform the justice system, and it's gotten worse everywhere it's been. And then when white people leave those neighborhoods, well, now it's white flight. If they come in, it's gentrification. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are pissed off, and they're not going to sit down and have this conversation and be real about it. And they're going, well, what happens when someone has to keep their mouth shut about everything?
Nobody tell you have to keep
That's
your
how they
mouth
feel.
shut.
That's how they feel.
I don't believe white people have to keep their mouth shut. I think white people don't speak up about a lot of the things that they do and they perpetuate that affects us negatively. That's the stuff that nobody wants to. That the issues aren't made about those things. I really respect the platform that you have because you do have open and honest conversations. And I have to say, I don't believe that those numbers about the black people murdering white people are correct. I don't believe those numbers are correct.
What if they are? What if I'm not lying to you?
If you're not, then I've been misled and I've been isolated from realistic numbers. But I know in this country, from the time that we got here and until now, there's never been hordes of black people that just go out and maraud and menace white people. Interactions happen and things do occur. I'm not saying that they don't, but not by and large in number. We can't be this small a percentage of the overall population and still have the numbers that people try to perpetuate on to us. See, black people do more harm to other black people than we do to other white people.
Well, that's true. That's true. Because people who are close. That's true.
We also have historical evidence of groups of white people attacking and chasing black people.
So it's
coming after.
So when people say
it's not happening now.
So I'm just saying,
and that's the point. Is we're at a precipice right now.
That's a part of the historical condition.
Well, sure, but someone today.
Hold on. I wasn't finished making my point.
I
wasn't finished making my point. When like I said, black fatigue, that's the newest mantra that's been put out into society to make people think that, okay, they tired of black people. They tired of what you said, that we can't say anything about black people. We can't do. Well, when you hold all the power, when you hold all the economic rights, when you hold all the things that make this country move, when you're in charge of those things, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what? I put it like this. White people got the firecrackers, we got the stem. That's it. Y'all got the power. The power is placed outside of the black community. We're charged with all the negative things. Those are the things that are really generally coincide with how people relate to us. The bad stuff that's go wrong with this world is the black people's fault. We the smallest part of this country. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? Beside the immigrants that come here, we have been tasked with the negative, the criminal, the immoral. That's us, and that's what we consider. That's white fatigue. But you know what we do? We just say that's just how it's always been. So we don't make up words for it or terms for it. So now you have a frustrated group of white constituents that feel like, oh, we can't say anything. We have to do this. We have to do that so you don't be deemed as that. Well, if you wasn't that in the beginning to start with, there would be no need for the reform or the feelings that you have. You can't say anything about because you done treated us like shit for so long, and people finally stood up and said, hey, you got to stop treating us like shit. Now that you want to feel like, things aren't going in the manner that you want them, now we want the right to keep saying those things.
What if your premise is completely flawed? And what I mean by that is, if we're trying to understand it, you said you have power in all those institutions.
Yes.
What if, for example, you have an entire generation of people, young white men, women, who if they apply to a college or apply to a job, they don't have a grant, there's no Pell Grant, there's no type of subsidy, there's no DEI initiative. As a matter of fact, they're likely to be passed over. They hold no institutional power. And when you say black people haven't done anything, when you think of this white person, a young white person, because I'm seeing some people become radicalized and it can become a problem. And then they see billions of dollars and riots and damages all summer long, and then they go, why is this happening? Black Lives Matter, right? So they're going to make that connection. Now, they have no institutional power, but if they go into a neighborhood that's largely black, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them. And they're being blamed for something that supposedly their racist forefather did that they have nothing to do with. You think we're ever going to have unity? This is the problem. Unity, if let's say your dad's a or your grandfather's a and you walk up and you slap his teenager, you now have made that person hate you for life. And that's what I'm seeing with young, not even my generation. Younger people are going, I had nothing to do with this shit. They came up during the riots. They've come up under DEI, and they're seeing a 12-time murder rate, skyrocketing crime, and any proposals they make, not holding institutional power, shut down as racist.
Now, why was DEI even instituted in the first place? Because for the majority of time that black people have been in this country and been free, we've been denied so much. Somebody somewhere had to put some things in place to provide access of some kind.
If you believe that, that's fine, but you can't tell that young white kid who had nothing to do with it that he should just sit down and take it, especially when they're getting killed at 12 times the rest.
I want to say something about that DEI situation because, you know, they're talking like it was something done specifically for black people. And I want to be honest with y'all. I don't think nothing was done specifically for black people because it was put in place and it prioritized white females, LGBTQ members. Some black folks got assistance from it, but it didn't help the majority of black people. I didn't receive any type of DEI. I don't know what, diversity, equity, and inclusion benefits or whatever I'm supposed to receive. But both guys and individuals is making valid points. When you look at the root of things, I don't even want to call it white people neither. I want to call it like political power, that gave white people the opportunity through creating laws and things. And it hindered black folks for, a multitude, hundreds of years. And it was never no repair for that, like for the people as a whole. Now, he's speaking about the white guy. He does have a point because the youth, the Caucasian youth, is being radicalized because they're like, we see things being done for black people, but they still the same and things are getting worse. I'm an avid advocate for reparations. I feel like it's a debt old, but I don't see it getting done because this Caucasian youth, as long as they obtain the power, man, they don't care no more. They are, I don't know, that I think that they can start, another civil war or a race war because they are, it seems like they just fed up. They ain't sympathetic to slavery because slavery didn't exist in their lifetime. They don't understand what the problem is. And it's just interesting to hear this conversation. So far, it's a great conversation, to be honest with you. Let's go.
That's what America's been telling us for the longest.
The young white man that has to
Not in
deal
my
with the
lifetime.
DEI, the young person of this generation that you said that feels they're misled by the being mistreated by the DEI.
I'm just using as an example. They don't hold any institutional power. Young white people don't. They don't have an advantage.
Not yet, because they're young white people. They haven't advanced to where they're middle-aged white people, where the power comes. See, what black people, once again, when you got colleges that denied access to black people, you can't come here. Something had to be put in place. Well, look, y'all got to let some black people come here. Y'all can't just
That started happening long before DEI.
All DEI
Long before black people were admitted into colleges, HBCUs.
Hold on, let me say what I'm trying to say.
My bad. I'm trying to make it clear.
He's trying to do a senior Wences and talk through you. So
Well, because you trying to.
No, I get it.
DEI is just a new way of wrapping affirmative action.
Yeah.
Affirmative action had to be put in place because there was the access being denied. So the legislation had to be put in place. Well, look, we can't just exclude all of them. So somewhere along the line, they have to be allowed some access. Okay, that was put in place. Now, Fast forward till now, those same things that were put in place for those people back in those generations that are still in place, they're not excluding people from getting to places they're just still trying to keep those doors open so that those black people that were coming through that door can still get in. Because if you remove those, over time, we will be denied the access again.
If a black person has lower SATs, right, and lower GPA, should he get in over an Asian or a white person?
Let me ask.
If all things are supposed to be laid out equal, no, you shouldn't get. If you don't have it,
that's what's happening.
What it takes to get in. No, but
it is happening, and I'm telling you, young white dudes are pissed.
That's
I'm
not
telling
the
you.
majority of what's happening.
It is happening.
It is happening. Relates to DEI, first of all. DEI has been more beneficial. I'm a former commercial contractor, all right? DEI and affirmative action have benefited white people vastly more so than black people. All you gotta do is look at the business ownership or what have you, and you notice that as long as that white female happens to be 51%, then she qualifies as a minority and a double minority because she's white, she's among the minority in business ownership, and she happens to be a female, right? So you look at that based on population dynamics, and that automatically tells you this whole thing about DEI was number one, not as much targeted towards blacks as much as it was targeted towards minorities, which includes that LGBT,
I agree.
Right? So when we talk about that, we need to really deal with the real problem. And as it relates to the riots, let me tell you something right now. Listen, in the black community, I'll be the first to acknowledge, we do have intractable problems that are not going to be solved in one conversation. But what I'm going to say about that, as well as the reason why the black community becomes so infuriated, all right, is when you see gross negligence of justice happen or misjustice happening and nobody does anything. When this guy kneeled on this man's neck, we're going back to George Floyd.
The damn there couldn't hurt, got loud. You know, he's about to get into the George Floyd conversation, but I want to say that's exactly what I said. DEI didn't benefit black people as much as it benefited Caucasian females and LGBTQ members. He know that. You know, the reason I'm an advocate and I'm going to keep mentioning this for reparations is because something specific has to be done for the group of people. You know, Black Lives Matter robbed the black people. And those was black LGBTQ members that bought houses in Beverly Hills and didn't do what they supposed to do with the funds. They robbed the whole. It wasn't for the best interest of the whole. It was for the best interest of them. And they know that also. And they gave that money and gave those benefits and opportunities to those females thinking that they was in control of a race. That's cap. Let them talk about George Floyd.
If he had done something, when he was subdued and on the ground, what was the real reason for kneeling on his neck except to inflict fatal harm? What was it?
I can tell you exactly what it was, and I can tell you why you're not recognizing the problem. Because the opinion polls, and I'm not saying right or wrong, the opinion polls have changed on George Floyd since I last spoke with you. You know why?
Why?
All the body cam footage came out. You know what? You know why? Because he was there for 12, 15 minutes, asked to be put in the car, they put him in the car, asked for air conditioning, gave him air conditioning, asked to be taken out of the car, they took him out of the car. He wouldn't stop moving. People have watched it now and go, you know what? It's not what I thought it was. You know how many times he was arrested before that? 9. He shouldn't have been. You know what would have saved him? 3-strike policy. He robbed a woman at gunpoint with a child in the house. And so white people look at it, young white people, right, who you have to understand during COVID, this is a whole generation of people. White people did not have any fucking opportunities during COVID. They didn't get to go to the graduation, college, black, white, all of them, right? It's a generation that's pissed. Rightfully so, they got screwed. I think we can agree on that. They're going, I watched my city burn down for a guy who was arrested 9 times and committed violent crimes against women. What?
Now, you know, let me
That's a travesty of justice. He shouldn't be out in public.
Let me say this.
How many felonies does President Trump have on his record? Yeah, he was still allowed to occupy the most.
No criminal felonies.
He has no criminal felonies, but he's got moral felonies, which would, if there was a court of justice for that, he probably would be tried a long time ago. I mean, let's talk about it.
Is this where we all get on board with crazy white bitches who accuse women of rape?
No,
like, I thought she accused 26 men of rape, that crazy broad.
Here's the reality, though. And when you look at the convergence of this new agenda where you're going strictly in the blue cities, why is it that most of those blue cities also happen to be occupied, the areas they're going in are heavily occupied by minorities? Why is that so?
Well,
Black people tend to vote Democrat, and they're run by Democrats. Detroit, you can look at it. You can look at Chicago. Is that what you mean?
I mean, no, that's not what I'm asking you at all. What I'm asking you is, like I said, with this all-out assault right now, just last night they were talking about something in Chicago, right? But at 1 o'clock in the morning, you had people in military gear, what have you, helicopters and all this kind of stuff like this here, not just knocking doors down, but dragging people out.
Because it's the murder capital of the country. You just said black people are more harmed by this. We don't want to take out murderers?
No. I think really what truly was you're confusing what I'm trying to say to you.
Are you about the National Guard in Chicago?
No, what I'm trying to say to you is this, though. If we're going to talk about the problem, let's talk about the problem in its totality. The fact about it is, when you talk about white America being pissed, white America is going to always find a reason that doesn't fit their narrative or what have you. But what white America fails to talk about, and what never ceases to amaze me, is the fact that the biggest threat is not going to come from blacks. The biggest threat is coming from within. You look at the average person that's been committing some of the most heinous crimes over the days, it's 22 to 29-year-old white males, right? Look at how
No,
they were.
it's just not true, man. Violent crime, you just said, like you said, a small percentage of the country, about 12 to 13%, 50% of the violent crime. But the murder, a 12 times likelihood.
That's a skewed stat.
If you just, so you don't listen to them?
No, I said that particular stat is skewed.
It's not skewed. These are from the FBI, DOJ. And you know what else we look at? We look at Roland Fryer from Harvard, who conducted it, black guy, black professor, really respectable guy, honorable man, conducted a study, and he came out and he said, yeah, all of my research says that black men are 0% more likely to be shot by police officers than whites. Black people got so mad at him, he reconducted the study, a black man from Harvard, and he came to the same conclusion, and now he's not black enough.
Wait, so let me see if I understand you clearly.
Yeah.
You're saying, according to this guy's statistics, right, that black people are 0% less likely to be shot by a white police officer.
A liberal professor at Harvard, yes, and he conducted it twice. Because black people said what you're saying. He goes, look, I was as surprised as you. I was trying to find how much worse it is. My data showed me it's not. He reconducted the study an entire time. Now, he did come to the conclusion that an officer is 18 times more likely to be shot than a black man by an officer. This is a black liberal who studies statistics. At what point do you listen to him?
And
I don't believe him.
That's skewed too.
Institution, and if he comes out and says something of the sort, there's no telling the backlash that he may not get. Listen, there are token blacks in every society. I mean, all you have to do is look back throughout.
And there we go,
right?
And Uncle Tom? This guy, come on.
No, but here's my thing, Steve, right? I'm not alleging that the guy wasn't Uncle Tom, but let's be frankly honest. How many shootings?
You know, I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world, but I got a answer for what he's talking about. And that statistic is nasty. It's a nasty statistic that 13% of the people in the country commit 50% of the violent crimes, right? But when you configure what black is, you know, take out, you know, and this is going to sound racist, take out the American blacks that's foundational to this land, and don't include the people that you consider black, that comes from Africa, that comes from Jamaica, that comes from Canada, that comes from Haiti, that comes from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, that you consider black, that is immigrants, that foundational black Americans consider tethers. And then you do that statistic to the people that is foundational to this land. I think that the word black is brutal, you know, because I don't identify as black. I identify as Trevor Jackson, the name my mom gave me. Because black is a social construct. To cause this confliction, this argument, those people aren't foundational to this land. My people have been here for centuries, decades. It's people that come over here that they consider black, that's not black, that's committing these crimes, and they add it all in the statistics. But that statistic is nasty. 13% of the country. And those people ain't even foundational. Let's go.
Have happened in most recent history that have involved black men that have been unarmed, and you see here and use that analogy that black men are zeros of times. Listen, as a totally blind individual, listen, I'm even apprehensive. There was an incident where the police stopped us, and it was my cousin and I. My cousin is a retired military vet or what have you, right? And immediately when we got out of the car, out of fear of possibly being shot, the first thing I did was raise my cane and say, "Officer," I said, "listen, I am totally blind." Before we get out of hand with this, right? Now, I shouldn't have had to react like that. But when you start looking at what's really happening in this country, many times because see, here's the deal. I don't care if you put on a uniform, you can't legislate the heart of a man and his intent, all right? And many times these officers do allow that badge to give them impunity to operate and exercise their racism. Let's be honest here, Steve.
Some of them do. By the way, I just find it funny that when I came up and shook your hand, you didn't tell me you were blind this whole time. I was like, I must have woke you up. You could have said, "Dude, I'm blind." I was like, "Oh, my bad. I'm sorry." You just throw that out there like.
I apologize, y'all. I don't know what's going on with this internet, man. It's kind of pissing me off too, for it to be moving slow like that, because they having an interesting dialogue. This is a very interesting dialogue. I'm gonna let it catch up a little bit, but I want to give a couple of takes. The man that's holding this conversation. This is what's crazy. America is a land full of immigrants. The man that's holding this conversation considers himself white, but he's a Canadian. Those statistics consider people black that isn't black. It's people that's holding government seats of power now that isn't American. And America isn't what they prioritize. America is in a place of shock right now, to where when we talk about these things and people identify with these things, it's a conflict of interest, because people like me that's originally from here, my family that's originally from here, heard this stuff and heard these statistics, and we can't identify with these people that's not like us. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. If this thing continues to skip, I'm gonna come back and finish this up. We're at 32 minutes in, but if it doesn't, I'm gonna keep going.
Fucking cluster bomb. I'm like, say you should have waved his cane when you came here. I feel like an asshole in the middle of the room.
That's what I told you when you said, "Is he sleep behind the glasses?" I was like, "No, he just can't see you."
Hey, look, I thought you was making a joke. I said, "Oh my God, here's this condescending asshole here."
It's okay. He forget he blind sometimes.
I had no idea.
No, man, but man.
Yeah, but I do. I agree. You can't legislate what's in a man's heart.
Yeah.
But you can't throw out everything. You can't go, that stat skewed. That black guy from Harvard who was always a liberal who did it twice, it's skewed. You can't throw it out.
How often do you see black police killing unarmed white people?
Never.
Actually,
How often do you see that? How often do you see that?
Well, I tell you, actually the stats show that when you're dealing with armed white people versus black armed people, white armed people are more likely to be shot by the cops than black.
White armed people are more likely to kill police officers. Look at what happened in Kansas where those 5 police officers.
Let's call the stats a wash on that. Here's what I do know. Everyone wanted the body cam footage, and I agree. I was like, we should have body cam footage. We should have accountability for police officers, right? And we were to believe after the era of, remember, we went through Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, obviously George Floyd. There were so many that you could use as examples. We thought that we'd have a rash of body cam footage showing us the police brutality. You haven't seen body cam footage of note in the last year. Once that footage came out, it's about a 20-to-1 ratio where you see someone getting violent with an officer. We have not seen what we thought we would see. And now people are going, okay, so maybe not the body cam footage, right? We thought we'd see all the abuse.
Wait a minute. Before you jump off of that point, what about the body cam footage where we see white people and white police, and the white citizen is being belligerent with the police, but the police showing extreme restraint in dealing with that person. Whereas black people will reach for your wallet, bow, you get.
I apologize, y'all. The skipping is bothering me to where I'm looking at the skipping and I'm not concerned about the message being spewed. My internet is acting bad, and I apologize. But I'll get back to this conversation. We halfway through, man. I would advise y'all to go check it out for yourself. And I appreciate everybody that support my channel and tune into my show. But sincerely, I really do apologize. Man, y'all got to get on Spectrum for me, man. I pay the highest tier for internet, and I'm skipping. Appreciate y'all for tuning into my show, though. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. Make sure you go get you some money, and I'm gone.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.